Are you aware that SAF is part of the global agenda? The World Economic Forum, along with other international organizations, as well as US federal agencies and administrations, they are all pushing this SAF agenda. But in this video, we're going to focus on the World Economic Forum. The WE Forum is the international organization for public-private cooperation, and the forum engages the foremost political, business, cultural, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. On their website, you can find this interesting document called Clean Skies for Tomorrow, with the intention to be used as a Sustainable Aviation Fuel policy toolkit. And as you can see, this was just recently officialized. This policy toolkit aims to support governments and policymakers as they develop and implement national SAF strategies. The policy toolkit is created by the WE Forum in collaboration with member governments in the Clean Skies for Tomorrow SAF Ambassadors Group, and it's intended to serve as an indicative menu of options for policymakers worldwide to support the scaling of SAF markets across regions. This Ambassadors Group is a diverse group of governments shared by the UK. The toolkit focuses on the role of governments and policymakers in removing barriers and facilitating increased supply and demand. The goal is to align top executives and public leaders on a transition to SAF as a pathway for the industry to achieve carbon-neutral flying. One of the collaborators is the Colorado-based non-profit organization, the Rocky Mountain Institute. Together with the Environmental Defense Fund, RMI has initiated the Sustainable Aviation Buyers Alliance, SABA, which will work to drive investments in SAF, catalyze production and innovation, and support policymaking efforts. Among SABA's founding companies, you'll find Bank of America, Boeing, JP Morgan Chase, and Microsoft, among others. The key aspects of SABA's work is to educate and support policymaking, assess emerging SAF technologies and help address barriers to scale and cost reduction, and to establish investment opportunities for air transport customers in high-quality SAF. So now that we know what RMI is doing, this Facebook post by Gevo is definitely worth noting. Now let's go back to the Clean Skies for Tomorrow document, which states that SAF will play a key role in aviation decarbonization between now and 2050. And this is where it gets really interesting. So here's the plan. Although smaller aircraft will be able to run on electricity or hydrogen, SAF is still being considered as an option for commuter and regional flights until 2050. For short-haul flights, SAF will be the primary fuel until at least 2035. And wait for it, here's the best part. SAF will be the main alternative for all medium and long-haul flights until 2050. Even the most radical climate activists should consider this as very good news. And good for Greta.
Net zero, blah, blah, blah.
Now she can finally start flying instead of crossing the Atlantic on a sailboat.
Along with a 4-man crew, including her father, she traveled across the pond on a zero-emissions sailboat equipped with solar panels and hydro generators. She chose not to fly because of the carbon footprint.
But what about all the challenges? Well, according to the Clean Skies for Tomorrow, the largest barrier to wider SAF use is the cost, which is 2 to 4 times greater than fossil fuels due to production expenses. Regulations and fiscal policies will be required to help bridge this cost differential, drive demand, and generate greater certainty for investors and financiers. And the World Economic Forum has identified several pathways to achieve these goals. The WE Forum has developed a complete strategy to grow and stimulate the demand for SAF. The strategy aims to reduce SAF price for its users and increase price of conventional jet fuels. The following measures may be necessary in order to attain this objective. Among the other measures, I find these particularly beneficial for Gevo. Each country or state is encouraged to develop a coherent national SAF strategy before implementing policies, such as those previously described. But what about the oil-producing states around the Middle East? Surely they have to oppose this agenda, right?
The Middle East has some of the largest oil reserves or also gas reserves, so hydrocarbon fuel reserves in the world. Exploiting these resources and then exporting them around the world is a major source of income generation for these countries. A lot of the development that we've seen in the Middle East is based on the proceeds of the export of these hydrocarbons.
So it may come as a surprise that the government of the United Arab Emirates supports the Clean Skies for Tomorrow initiative and has taken a positive stance in implementing policies. This, according to their Minister of Energy and Infrastructure. And in fact, the three largest airlines in the Gulf region are already engaged and committed to the SAF agenda. The CST Policy Toolkit is 42 pages long and the PDF can be found on weforum.org. And if you want to dive deeper into it, the link is in the video description. In part 2, we will look closer at these organizations and their involvement in the Global SAF Agenda.
The Build Back Better bill is passed.
As a stakeholder in Gevo, or maybe other SAF-producing companies, I hope you found this information valuable and reassuring. To me, it's obvious that the global leaders have already decided that SAF will be the savior of the aviation industry. This is where the lion's share of all investments eventually will end up. Electricity and hydrogen will probably only play a minor role. The market for sustainable aviation fuel has exponential growth opportunities, and the wheels are already in motion to accelerate the development. In fact, SAF will make everyone a winner. With net zero emissions, flight chain will be a thing of the past, and people all over the world will be able to travel without feeling guilty about the climate impact. And the aviation industry will face a new renaissance. Sustainable aviation fuel is the future for all of us. In which ways do you think the global SAF agenda can benefit Gevo's business? Please let me know what you guys think and leave a comment below. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Please keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I make videos for entertainment purposes only. Until next time, bye bye.